it goes.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Linda Borden, President of the Eastern Library Trustees, and we are at a Zoom meeting on September 14th, 2020 at 7:30. I'm calling the meeting to order on Zoom due to COVID-19 pandemic and the governor's extension of his executive order to suspend open meeting laws. I'm going to call the roll. If you are present, please answer. Mary Jane Connor,
Present.
Peter Reed,
Present.
John O'Brien is not present, Patricia McPhee, not present, Aaron Gabriel, not present, Chelsea Henderson,
Present.
and Linda Borden is present. Today, our agenda.
Forgot me.
Oh, sorry. And Jennifer DiCarlo, our director.
Present.
Thank you. We are going to have our agenda. I'm going to go over it quickly in case you have any additions. You'll know when would be the appropriate time to put it in. We will go over the idea of minutes, the treasurer's report, then old business. Jennifer will update us on the fire extinguisher and the harassment video and policy. New business, we're going to discuss the newsletter, the requirements to review board-approved written policies every 5 years, and a disaster plan policy that we need to write. We will form our budget for 2021 right after the treasurer's report. So as we go along, if anybody has anything under old or new business other than that, please let us know as we get to the right area. Minutes are not available, but our previous meeting can be viewed on the library website. So we will skip the meeting of the minutes and treasurer's report. Peter has sent us all a treasurer's report by email. So everybody's had a chance to look at the report. Are there any discussions about that or questions? Well, hearing none, then I'd entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Can I second that?
Well, I'm waiting to hear it first. I didn't hear a motion to accept yet.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report. This is Mary Jane speaking.
Second the motion.
This is Chelsea. I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
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 So we will move on to the budget. Peter sent us a copy of the budget for 2020. He's also sent us last year's budget proposal and what we have to spend to date, expenditures to date. So let's talk about the budget for 2021. Peter, do you want to go through it and tell us about different line items, why you increased or decreased certain things? I know you worked with Jennifer on this. So Jennifer, of course, you can add comments as well as we go along.
Basically, the only thing I changed was Greenwich School District. I put in the budget what we actually received last year in 2020, or this year, 2020. And I took out the LLSA because you had mentioned something about we don't know how much governmental funds we're going to get, so I wasn't sure that was going to be available. So I pulled that out, which is why the total income dropped. The other thing is, Jennifer and I were talking, we went through and because some of our expenditures are down due to the coronavirus, such as books and audiovisual, we've added to that, try to increase it to make up for what we haven't spent this year. A lot of it is fairly the same, pretty much the same. Some of the numbers I increased, I'm not sure what, it's a budget, it's an estimate. So.
I had a question when I went over it, Peter. I noticed your payroll expenses is $3,000 less. Why did you come up with that?
Because if you take a look at our payroll to date, basically I was more accurate. I think we're more accurate with the $32,000 as opposed. 35,000 I think was an overstatement. The 32,000 I think is a more accurate assessment of what the payroll is going to be.
Okay, and I assume that's why payroll taxes dropped by 249?
Yes.
Okay. I also, go ahead, Mary Jane.
I was just going to chime in and say that I was really glad to see the increase in the audio, visual, and books. You know, I think that was a really good place to put some extra money.
Yeah, they
Jennifer
seem
said she was happy with that too.
Yes, thank you.
Anything to make her happy.
Thank you.
to be very popular in the library, so that's a good place to try and spend more money because the patrons like that. I think that's right, Mary Jane. Utilities was a little less, Peter?
Same thing. I took a look at utilities for so far this year, what we spent, and came up and I think the $6,000 we had down for utilities last year was excess. Wasn't really accurate. And I looked at what we've spent on utilities so far this year, and you know, this year we've only got $2,556 in utilities. And the coronavirus hasn't really affected the utilities that much. I mean, we still have electric. I mean, we still have phones. So, and the
Yep.
fuel. So I'm trying to get a more accurate estimate.
Okay, sounds like it's a good job. Chelsea, do you have any questions about the budget?
I don't at this time. No.
Okay. Mary Jane, anything else?
I don't have any more questions. It looked really good to me. Thank you, Jennifer and Peter, for getting it all situated. Patricia McPhee has joined the meeting. Linda, I know that you mentioned earlier that you don't see who's here. She is now with us.
Okay, Patricia, were you in? Hi. I don't see you, but Patricia, were you here when we discussed the budget? Did you hear Peter's explanation?
You're muted, Patty.
Yeah, we can see
You
your
hear me
video
now?
when you're muted. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay. I had technical difficulties. I had to get help. That's why I was late. I have a new phone.
Good.
I heard the tail end of it.
Okay. All right. So Peter was basically explaining that many of the numbers that have changed from last time are due to a more accurate estimate of what we'll be spending based on what we've spent to date this year. So that's how he was explaining the changes in figures, that some of them have decreased, such as the payroll expenses and the payroll taxes and utilities.
Right.
The rest of it is pretty much the same. So I don't know if you have any questions. I know this is your first time through the budget process. very awkwardly on Zoom. It's usually a different process, but it is what it is.
Right. Yeah,
So-
it looked pretty, it makes sense.
Okay, excellent. So then I'm going to ask somebody to make a motion to accept this 2021 budget as presented by Peter and assisted by Jennifer. Can I have a motion for accepting the budget?
I'll make a motion, we
Yeah, I
accept
can
the
make
budget
that
this
motion.
year.
Oh, all right. I heard from Patricia that she'll make the motion to accept the budget. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mary Jane Connor. All in favor? I'm going to do this by roll call. Mary Jane,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Patricia,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
and Linda Borden, yes. So we will be presenting this budget then to the town. Peter needs to get it over there by the end of this week. And he'll take care of that. He's already volunteered and told us that he would. So we can move on
what I'm gonna
to,
do is, what I'm gonna
Peter?
do is just put it in the mail, rather than
okay,
try to stop down. I'll put it in the mail tomorrow. It's Greenwich, so, you know, he should have it by Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday.
okay. That'll be good. And they will get back to us. When do you think, Peter? Any idea? When they have their
I don't
budget
remember.
meetings?
Yeah, they've got to have a budget meeting and then they got to vote on it. I'm not sure. Mary
Okay.
Jane, do you know?
Not sure.
Well, I guess we'll hear back from them when we hear back from them, and then we'll take action based on what they let us know. So we'll move on to old business, and I'm going to ask Jennifer, she wanted to speak about the fire extinguisher and the harassment video and policy under old business. So Jennifer, go ahead.
Okay, I spoke with Rich, the Town of Easton Highway Supervisor, last week, and I told him that we had fire extinguishers that we needed to be looked at because they have to be certified every year. And he said, great, because they were coming this week. And he would let me know. He has my cell phone number. And I also told him that our fire extinguishers need to be, they have a 6-year checkup on them that need to be done. So hopefully he will remember that, but I'll remind him again when I talk to him. So that's good. And the harassment videos, does anyone have any question on them, questions about them? I know
Took the
Peter's,
harassment video.
yeah,
I listened to the video, but they said they wouldn't accept them because there was no interaction and no questions. You're
Okay.
supposed to have,
say that
Well, what
again,
do you do?
Peter.
when I took a look at it, I took the videos, I watched the videos, but they said just watching the videos was not acceptable. There has to be an interaction, question and answer. So,
So last year, we got together in order to have that section so that people had the opportunity to ask questions of Jennifer and I and discuss it. So we can have everybody read the policy and come back and have a Zoom meeting in case anybody has any questions. And that can complete the training.
Okay, that
That's a
sounds good.
idea.
Questions,
That's fine.
Peter, of what you observed and learned in the videos?
it's the same as last year. It's mostly common sense, so
Yes, yes.
I can't
So
say
that was our experience last year. We gave an opportunity for interaction and questions, and
That's correct.
we talked for a few minutes and then we were done. So we can do that again.
Right.
Okay, I will try to set that up, but let's do it. Can we do it like the week after the 9th? After everybody, I've given the deadline for everybody to watch it. Can we do it the
Sure.
next week? Okay. All right.
When's it have to be done by?
The 9th. There was nothing, I could find nothing online for when it was due. So I just went with what they had last year, which was October 9th. I saw nothing from the state about it. I think that's their least concern this year. I think coronavirus is
You're
at
right.
the top of their list. So
Until you don't do it.
yeah,
Yes.
until you don't do it. And then
Right.
you're like, yeah. So I'm just writing myself a note here, Zoom meeting. Okay.
And I'm going to ask Patricia, do you work for another business or something and you take their harassment training?
I sure do.
So, you know, if you have a document that says that, you can just send the document to Jennifer. And
Yep.
you don't have to do the library's ones.
Right. Yeah, she had emailed me that, and I'm a little lax on my emails. But I have to go into my training. I don't know if I've done it yet, but I know we have to do it every year.
Okay, so usually they'll have like a certificate you can print out or some kind of
Yep.
paper. And
Yep.
then just send it to Jennifer, and
Got
I
it.
guess by the 9th, she'd like it so that she can say everybody's done it. That
Yeah,
would
I
be
know. I
good.
know. I actually have something due for work, so when I'm in there, I can look and see if
Okay.
I've done it already.
That would be good. Then you don't have to listen to two of them. Good.
And fight to get on again.
Yes, yes, not that easy.
No.
No.
And
Patrick thinks it's very easy.
very easy to get on it.
And unmute it. He gets me on, and then I'm like, I can't hear anything.
Oh, yes. So the other thing under old business, I don't want to let this slide. I don't think we're ready to make any decisions, but I just want to kind of have it on the agenda. We discussed doing something in memorial for Mary Alice Gillis. We have not followed through with that, and I'm just putting that out there if anybody's, come up with any ideas or wants to move forward on it at this meeting. Anybody?
Someone gave the suggestion, this isn't my suggestion, it might be one of the people that are in this meeting, but the suggestion that I remember was that we would buy a piece of outdoor furniture for the new property in back of the library, that we would purchase something that could go back there. That was one suggestion that I thought that appealed to me, to have like a chair or a bench or something out in the back for people to sit on.
I think that's a really nice idea. I mean, we'd like to encourage people to sit out there eventually, and hopefully we'll have programs out there, so it would be nice to have a bench. So shall we plan to somehow pursue that?
It might be best to wait and purchase something in the spring. It might be difficult to find something at this time of year when people's inventories for such items are probably minimal.
And what about a cost factor for this? When we discuss what we're going to purchase, we're going to need to know how much money we're going to spend.
We've gotten quite a few donations. I've kept track of all the donations that people have sent in memory of Mary Alice Gillis. So I could tell you what that is. I don't have it with me right now, but I could do that at a later date.
So that would be
Jennifer, didn't you and I talk to Patty, or there's some conversation around that, not Patty McPhee, but Pat Kirk, that the Friends would like to also contribute to whatever is purchased too.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
Okay, so, why don't we table that until a spring meeting? And, by then we can have a tally of donations plus what the Friends would like to contribute, and that might make it easier for us to, know what kind of furniture we're purchasing.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have anything under old business that I didn't mention earlier that we want to add to this meeting? And if you think of it later, it's okay. We can always deal with it later. So new business. First of all, Mary, Jennifer wants to talk about the newsletter. We're in a different situation than most years. So she has some things to say about the newsletter. Jennifer.
Okay, well, I did not do a spring newsletter, obviously, because we were in quarantine. And right now I should be like in full mode of doing the fall newsletter. I am not because I don't have any news. We don't have any upcoming programs. I don't know where we stand with the book and bake sale for Election Day. My guess is that we're not going to have it. I don't know what we're doing with the Christmas party because we don't have a story hour. So I'm guessing we're not going to have it. There's just so many unknowns with our meeting room closed to the public. So we don't have any programs planned. So, you know, it's like, what do I say? What do I tell people other than what, you know, I've been putting in press releases. And then the other aspect of it is Linda has told me that Sal's is not putting our postage into the budget. So we have no money for a newsletter, like mailing it. So the cost would fall onto us. So we didn't even consider putting it into our 21 budget. So we could email, we could do social media, like in the spring. I've got Instagram, I've got Facebook, I've got Front Porch Forum, I've got Next Door Neighbors. I've got those kinds of social media sites that I can send newsletters to. I've got the superintendent's page, which reaches a lot of parents. So, you know, we could do a newsletter of that type in the spring if things change for us with, you know, programming, which wouldn't cost us any money. It's zero. So, but I don't know what the board wants to do.
So how about if we just discuss the newsletter that's coming now? Like just make a decision on the fall newsletter and then as we get towards the spring, rediscuss what we want to do then. Because as you say, everything is so iffy. Who knows? We might be in full swing in the spring or we may not be doing anything.
Yes.
So what does everybody think about the newsletter for the fall then, based on what Jennifer just said?
This is Chelsea, and I think an emphasis on electronic newsletter makes a lot of sense right now. And, oh, I just got a little note that says this meeting has been upgraded and now includes unlimited minutes. So I'm
Oh,
sure you all saw that.
I saw something.
Okay,
Good.
I'll press OK. Okay.
how did that happen?
I don't know. All right, we can take this meeting all night,
Woo!
right? But the e-newsletter, I think that makes a lot of sense right now because people are utilizing those kinds of resources more. And if you're able to take your snapshot of your newsletter and share it on the other venues you mentioned, like Front Porch Forum, et cetera, for the fall newsletter, I think that's great. That's my 2 cents.
But I think the big question is the content of the newsletter. Is that what you're looking for, Jennifer?
Yes, what would
Oh,
I
the content,
say?
I'm sorry.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, you had emailed us not too long ago about the Dungeons and Dragons. Is that something that's progressing?
I spoke with Annabelle Bink, and she said that Matthew has made a character, but she doesn't know. I get, with school just starting, everything kind of like happened at the same time because the class was 2 weeks later than it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be earlier in August, and then it got delayed to like the last part of August, and then school started. So I will reach out to her again to find out where he is with that.
Yeah, that was an interesting idea, and I don't know if any other libraries around here are doing that. So if something like that is going on, I think that would be really neat to feature in the newsletter.
Okay, all right.
Maybe another part you put in a newsletter is just information that at this point, it looks like we're not going to have a Christmas party, unless something changes. Just to keep the public informed of what's going on. Any idea when we might go into the next stage of the library opening, or
Well,
is that something?
Linda and I had discussed that last week, but then over the weekend, I got an email that Greenwich Central School has only been open 2 days and they have 2 positive coronavirus cases. So, I'm thinking, well, this is not a good time to think about moving to the next step. We need to wait a couple of weeks to find out what the numbers are going to be. So,
Okay.
because
I was going to say, but I mean, if things in 2 to 3 weeks, if things look like it's remaining clear, then we're hoping to open as soon as possible after that. We were aiming for October, Peter. But as Jennifer said, we need to really wait to see what the numbers are going to do and what the governor is going to do after all these colleges and schools open and the numbers change. So, however, Jennifer we were talking about starting to think about when we open, what we're going to do. So, she's going to be planning when we get that moment that we can open, she'll be ready, planned on what computers we can use, what part of the stacks we have to close off so that nobody is 6 feet within a computer, whether people are going to sign up for half-hour stints, whether they have to call her or just walk in and see if it's available. So those are like all kinds of things that she's got to mull over. So that can be in the works before we open.
mm-hmm.
Your mind can be in the works,
Okay.
Jennifer.
Yep.
So what do we think about the newsletter? Are we okay with letting the paper copy of the newsletter fall by the wayside for fall?
Absolutely.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then that decision's been made. And then Jennifer, if you come up with either news releases or a little newsletter that you want to call it that, or just your news releases on social media to keep people knowing that what we're doing. Mary Jane, are you okay with this?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just thinking about things like electronic newsletter. So I was just thinking about the fall themes and, what are some things that we could do around audiobooks and just highlighting things, I was glad to see on the budget too that you increase subscriptions, Jennifer, because I think that I know that circulation right now, but just like highlighting some of the resources that we have that people might forget about because they haven't been able to come in. And so how can we sort of say, you know, these are the things to settle in around the, you know, the warmth of your wood stove as we enter into the fall season. So
Yeah.
I'll continue to think about those things, but I'm fine with the paper one just being shelved for the fall.
Well, I
Oh.
appreciate that. Thank you. Because, yeah.
Didn't know what to write. Okay. So the other thing that Jennifer's brought to my attention, that one of the things we're supposed to be doing as a board is reviewing all of our, well, all or some of, Jennifer will have to straighten me out on that, written policies every 5 years to make sure that we want to keep them as is, or if they need to be changed. And so we just need to review them. So Jennifer, you want to talk a little bit about that? What else?
Well, I think that okay, I guess I was I feel bad. I was half listening because I was writing a note to myself. On the annual report, I've been saying yes to the question that I know that we have been approving our policies. So we really need to get on this and start looking them over and approving them every 5 years. So I don't know if we want to like take 3 or 4 and look them over every quarter, you know, and then the next quarter look over, you know, or 2 every quarter. But we should probably make a habit of, you know, just taking some and looking them over, approve, and making sure they're up to date and accurate, and, you know, signing off on them and saying they're good. But they have to be done every 5 years, or if required by law. And to my knowledge, I've been director for nearly 4 years, and we have not done this at all. So
I think that's a good plan to deal with them, you know, a few at a time. I think if you look through them, you know, they're all supposed to be dated. So some of them we've written within 5 years, so they would not have to be redone. A lot of them, you know, a lot of the newer ones have been within 5 years. And I believe you retyped them all. So I guess my question is, are they easily transmitted to us through email so that, you know, we could look at them before a board meeting? Everybody could read them. And then at the board meeting, discuss if anybody saw anything that needed to be changed or scanned into an email or something so we could see them ahead.
yes, that is absolutely positively true. And they are all on, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are on our website as well. So if you have access to internet, you can see them on our website, and they're downloadable. So yes, to both questions.
Go ahead.
Well, it looks like, Jennifer, it looks like what you have to do is just put together what policies we need to look at.
Okay,
You know, give us a list of at the meeting, and then, you know, we'll figure one meeting a quarter, we'll look at policies. So how's that sound?
okay. Sounds fair.
This is Mary Jane. If they're already on the website, then we'll just look at them on the website. They won't have to scan them and send them to us.
Okay, all right. There are, in all honesty, I had Doris retype a bunch of them. And Warren went through and edited them for punctuation. And I have yet to, I just have been so busy. That's been the last thing for me to do. So I need to go through his stuff and put them up on the website, because the stuff that's on the website is the old stuff. So I need to put the new stuff up on the website.
It says the same thing, but they're neater retyped, right?
Exactly. Yes. It's the same thing. It's just they're more up to date looking in appearance.
All right, so Jennifer, when you get to it, put it on your list of, review the policies, pull out the ones that are needing to be reviewed because we haven't done them in 5 years, and then just pick an order and let us know as a board which couple you want us to look at when they're on the website, for that next meeting.
Okay.
And we'll start attacking them.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So that brings us to another policy that we have to write, the disaster plan policy. Jennifer, you're on again.
Well, who would like to volunteer to help me work on the disaster plan policy?
Dead silence? What's that I hear?
Jennifer, I think I could help you with that. Logistically, would it be us just talking on the phone and coming up with a plan together? And I'm sure emailing back and forth.
Yes, it would
Well,
probably be both. Yes.
Okay.
We
that-
probably need maybe one more person.
Mhm.
Oh, I can try.
Okay, thank you, Patty. All right, thank you.
And Jennifer does have a template, I believe, at least as a starting point. Is that right, Jennifer, from Sal's?
Well, I looked for it, I can't find it, so I emailed Diane Winter, and I'm waiting to hear back from her because she's the annual report person. And I went through the annual report on Saturday trying to find the disaster plan policy, and I couldn't find it. So I wanted her to give me another take on it, and I wanted her to see if she could send me a template for it. So I'm waiting to hear back from her. I'm sure
Okay.
she'll get back to me in a couple of days.
And also, Chelsea and Patty, so Jennifer and I, when we've done other policies together, we often review ones from other libraries, especially ones that are of our size or kind of rural libraries, and try to beg and borrow stuff from them as well. We try not to reinvent the wheel, so I hope it can be done that way to make it easier for you guys.
Oh, sure.
That makes sense.
I think that's what I did when I did the whistleblowers policy. I think I borrowed from another local library. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So, well, thank you, because I know there is a deadline by the end of the year on this disaster plan policy, and New York State will be asking us once again if we're in compliance or not. So,
Yes, yeah.
okay, so any other new business? That was all I had for the agenda. Anybody know of something else we should talk about? No, if no one has anything else for the agenda, then I'll ask for a motion to close the meeting of the Easton Library Board of Trustees.
I'll make a motion that we close the meeting of the Easton Library Trustees. This is Peter.
Seconded by,
I'll second that. This is Chelsea.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Yes. Aye.
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 So the meeting is officially over, and Jennifer, you can stop the recording process.